Ladies and gentlemen, let's Red Gamers Telecom video would suggest you build yourself a nuclear fallout shelter because Assassin's Creed Unity is rumoured to be running at 720p on the PlayStation 4. We don't have any indication what the Xbox One resolution is before you ask. So how these rumours have popped up would actually be from Sony's own official website. That would be the Sony Entertainment Network. What this website does, in case you've not visited it, I imagine many of you PS owners would, but if you haven't, it gives a listing of how many players the game supports, what the minimum save size is, what controllers you would need, what, for example, whether it supports online play, and so on. And it basically lists 50GB minimum save size, DualShock 4, remote play, 720p HD video output. So, the reason this is kind of a big deal is, generally speaking, the website is actually pretty up-to-date and does list games at 1080p. For example, if we were to, say, mosey on over to Diablo, Reaper of Souls, it actually does list the fact that the title does run at 1080p. And also points out it's 2 to 4 players, and 26GB minimum save size. Obviously, this is downloadable. So once again, this is not confirmation that the game does run at 720p. However, there does seem to be indications that it might run at 720p. Now, you could already imagine the amount of fallout on this. From what I've gathered from the graphics, I mean, I don't know. It's possible right now they're just kind of hedging their bets, and it's just a resolution that they've selected. The game's not being released for, well, quite a while. It's basically 80 odd days, isn't it, until the release date? So they might not have actually solidified the resolution. However, the developers have actually stated on a couple of occasions in various interviews and comments that at the moment they're trying to target 1080p. It's saying target 1080p is not the same thing as it will run at 1080p, as I'm sure you're probably aware. So this could be a three-scenario situation. First scenario is they've not actually figured out the resolution yet. They're just putting 720p because they don't want people who are pre-ordering to be pissed off if it, for example, if they're written 1080p and it actually runs at 720p. For example, you might have heard of the whole Killzone situation that's going on right now, where they're basically Sony are getting sued because of the whole temporal reprojection. Sorry guys, lack of sleep. My brain is not with the working. But they're being sued over that, so maybe Sony are just hedging their bets. Second option is that they are simply going to issue maybe a patch in the future. Who the heck knows? And the third option is that the game will actually run at 720p, and that's pretty much the end of it. In other words, there is no more to the story. They are targeting 720p. That's what they feel is comfortable on the PS4 with the hardware that they've got, with the graphical fidelity that they're going for, with the lighting and all the other effects that are running, and trying to maintain a playable frame rate and blah-de-blah-de-blah. They feel that 720p is what they want to go. So there are a couple of points before I close out. As I mentioned, there is no mention whatsoever, because obviously this is Sony's website at the end of the day. There's no mention of what the Xbox One's resolution is going to be. So for all we know, it could be 720p, it could be 1080p, it could be 1p. It's completely and utterly impossible to know, so we're just going to have to wait. The second point, please don't be whipped into a frenzy over the lack of 1080p. At the end of the day, it requires a lot more GPU processing power, over double for 720p to 1080p. So, in other words, the GPU has to work over twice as hard. That's a lot to ask for. And the bottom line is, depending on, as I said earlier, the level of detail they're going for, they're shooting for, you might just have to see it at 720p, and that's pretty much all she wrote. While I didn't think so, and I did double check, they haven't mentioned what the minimum requirements are when it comes to the PC version of the game either. So it could be that we're going to be seeing far beefier requirements than previous Assassin's Creed, for example Black Flag, Or we could be seeing very similar requirements. It's just impossible to know. Obviously, PC requirements are, well, kind of messed up. One of the issues with PC requirements is oftentimes they don't mention what the GPU is in correlation with the resolution. So, for example, just pure example, if it says it requires a GTX 660, as recommended, what resolution is that for? Are we talking 720p? Are we talking 1080p, 1440p, and so on? So that's another slight issue there. So we can't even look at, for example, the PC, because one of my thoughts was, hey, you know what, we could look at the PC specs and see if they are significantly higher, and then we can figure out how much extra work the graphics engine is actually really doing. Now, for those of you who do care about this stuff, I did do a rather in-depth analysis back when Assassin's Creed 4 was at Black Flag was actually released. And so what you could go ahead and do is go to the website, redgamingtech.com, we could search on the channel for Black Flag, and you're going to come across some comparisons where the Black Flag is running on the PC and the PlayStation 4, and you can see that for the most part the PS4 version does pretty much keep up. There are some slight improvements to the PC version, particularly if you're running an NVIDIA card, because what you can go ahead and do is enable hardware physics, and I have to admit I'm a bit of a whore when it comes to that. I like my pointless smoke particles, damn it. But that's about it. So once again, no Xbox One news, and this is not confirmed. This is just based on a listing on Sony's own website. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video, or not, depending on how you take the news, I guess. But if you could give me a comment, or a thumbs up, or a share, or an internet hug, maybe some cookies, that would be absolutely fantastic. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.